Hello and welcome to another episode. In today's episode, I am going to be talking about CSS Navbar. I will be teaching you how to create a navigation bar. But before we get started, if you're new to my channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If this video is useful, share it with someone else. And if you like the video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. That helps me a lot. Also, if you want to support my channel, I am going to leave my PayPal link in the description below. Okay, so let's get started. So to get started with CSS navigation bar, I need you to go to the same website that we've been using so far, which is w3schools.com. You're going to go to the CSS section and you're going to scroll all the way down to where it says CSS navigation bar. Now, at the same time, please open the same website we've been using so far and the code we have been using for it. This time, I have already cleared the style and I have already cleared the body section of my HTML document so that we can get into the navigation bar right now. Okay, so navigation bar. Navigation bars is this as an example. You see this W3 School website? This is a navigation bar. This portion that you see here, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, then SQL, Python, PHP, etc. All that is considered a navigation bar. If you resize your window and you click here, then you will see also a navigation bar displayed. So today, I am going to teach you how to create two navigation bars. One is going to be vertical and the other one is going to be a horizontal navigation bar. So, a couple of things you need to know first before we get into coding this. Navigations bars are important, of course, for any type of website because that's where the user clicks to go to a specific location in your website, like a homepage, a contact us section, about us, you name them, right? So with CSS, you can transform the HTML menus into good looking navigations bar so that the user is not that confused and they know where to go. And actually, they look at them very pretty. Navigation bars are the same as list of links. That's for HTML. So as a base, we are always going to use an unlisted element, and then we're going to create a couple of LIs for each link that we are going to create in our navigation bar, just so you know. So just remember that you're going to use a UL, you're going to use an LI, of course, a list under that unlisted element, and then we're going to use a hyperlink here, which is going to be with the A tag, of course. And that is as simple as that's actually all you're going to do in HTML in order to create your navigation bar. Now, I am going to show you how to style it afterwards so that navigation bar can look horizontal or vertical. So here I have already set aside two examples in W3 Schools in how you can make a navigation bar go vertical, and then another one which is going to show you how to create one horizontal. So I want you to go to the section where it says vertical nav bar here in the left hand side of your screen, and then once you're there, you're going to scroll a little bit down. You're going to scroll all the way down and you're going to select not the first nor the second try it yourself button, but the third one right here. This is the same one that I am using for this example, just if you want to take a look at the code itself in the website and you know where to go. So let's go ahead and start coding this. First thing you need to do to create a vertical navigation bar will be the following. As you can see here in the example, we are going to use only the unlisted tag in HTML. So what I'm going to do to make things easier and faster, I will copy this and I am going to paste this into my code. Okay, now as you can see here, we have 4 menus that the user is going to be able to select. You have home, news, contact, and about. So here, what I am going to do is just leave the same, like home, news, contact, and about. And the A tag that we're including inside, as you can see, has an href of hashtag home because we have not created that URL nor that home webpage. So obviously we don't have anywhere to send the user right now. So it's okay if you just leave it as hashtag home, hashtag news, so on and so forth. Okay, so this is basically what you need for your HTML part. Now I'm going to hit save. Going back to our code, we are going to hit refresh into our website. And here you go. Now you have the list items, home, news, contact, and about. But as you can see, right now they have a hyperlink. They have this marker, which we don't need if we're going to create a vertical clean navigation bar. So what I'm going to do now is remove all that style. Now, if you go to W3 School and you scroll all the way up, you see this unlisted style that they're using. Here, they are removing everything. And not only removing everything to the ULs as well, but also assigning a background color to it. So we are going to do that right now into our code. Let's go back to our CSS style. And I'm going to show you how each element will look like as soon as we are applying it so that you can see the differences. So first, we're going to apply a list style type of none. Okay, so list style type, and then we're going to set this to none. That is going to remove the marker that we see here, that little circle. So now if I hit refresh, boom, you see, that's gone. So that's what you do with the list style type. I already show you guys why that property does that and what other values you can use with this. So if you want a refresher, go to our previous episodes, okay? So next property we're going to use to transform this to a navigation bar will be the margin and the padding. We will adjust both of them to 0, okay? So let's set up margin 0 and then also the padding to 0. Okay, by doing that, I'm going to hit save. Going back to our home screen, I'm going to hit save and then refresh. That's removing the padding that we have, which is by default set up for lists, and also the margins, as you can see. Now, the next thing we're going to apply here will be a width. The width will be 200 pixels. Just so you can see, same as the example, I will leave it at 200 pixels, okay? So let's set up the width to 200 pixels. I'm going to hit save. Now going back to our code, let's hit refresh. Right now you don't see anything happening because obviously we have to give a background color to this. So don't worry about it just right now. You will see it in a moment. So the width has been applied for 200 pixels. Then we're going to apply the background color, okay? So going back to our code, let's set up a background color. And this background color, I will make it, I don't know, let's select a different one than the one on the example. Let's just leave it as blue. Okay, so let's hit save. Now going back to our code, when I hit refresh, boom, you see everything it's in blue, but you can barely see it because the letters are also in blue. So let's just go ahead and do red for this instance. Okay, let's do red. Hit save, going back to our code, refresh. There you go. So now we have the background of red to the unlisted element, okay? So that's what you do with this portion of the code. Now, if you want to apply different style to the LIs itself, each one of them, each item, then you have to style them separately. And you have to also remove the hyperlink for A tags. This hyperlink that you see there, like that underline, right? We want to remove that as well. So for that, we are going to use, same as in this code, the display. First of all, we will set this to block. But of course, let's use the LI selector. And then this is only going to be for A tags. So the display is going to be block. Okay, that way each element will be rearranged. So let's hit refresh. And right now you cannot see it, but you will in a moment, okay? So display is block right now. We just applied that. Now the next thing we are going to do is apply, as you can see in the example, a color, okay? And let's use the same color here that W3 School used. Okay, so let's do color, and then let's use a hashtag and then 3 times 0. Let's just leave it like that, which is black. Okay, so let's hit save. Going back here to our code, let's hit refresh, and boom, now all colors will be black for the wording there for all the text. Okay. Now, the next thing we are going to do, according to the example, will be to apply a padding and then a text decoration. We will set this to none. Now, the padding, of course, is going to give a better arrangement between each item listed, okay? So, going back to our code, let's go ahead and let's set up the padding first. So the padding, we're going to give top and bottom 8 pixels, and then to the left and right, we will give it 16 pixels. 16 pixels. Okay, so let's hit save, going back to our code, hitting refresh now. You see how that looks a little bit better? Okay, so now the next thing we are going to do is apply the text decoration to none. That's going to remove the underline there. So let's do that. So text decoration will be none. Okay, so let's hit save. Now going back to our code, hitting refresh. Boom, now we do not have any type of underlines here. So see how this is looking a little bit better? Of course, it's red. I mean, the color is ugly. You can change it if you want. I was just changing it just so you can differentiate the one at W3 schools and the one that we are doing, okay? So you can play around with it, in other words. Okay, anyways, next step in this process to create the vertical navigation bar and give it this style. You see how when we hover over each item, you see a different color? Well, to do that, all we have to do is use a pseudo class, which is going to be for a tags, the state of hover. Okay, so let's do that. We're going to apply this to all a tags as well here, and we are going to change this to hover, of course. So hover, and we're going to apply a different background color. So let's do background color. Let's use an RGB color here. And what I am going to do is select a red, but a darker red, like that. Okay, now that we have found the color that we are going to use, let's hit save. And I'm not going to hit refresh yet, just so you can see that right now when I hover over each item, nothing happens. But now that I hit refresh, if I hover over them, you see how now everything, it's looking like a dark red. So, but with the hover state, you're applying that right now, of course. Now, next thing we're going to do here, it's apply, well, actually, let's go back to the vertical one, sorry. The color of the letters, because right now when we hover over them, you see how they are black and you can barely see them. So we want to make sure those letters are visible. So we're going to use the color white. Let's just use the white one. Okay, let's hit save. Now let's hit refresh. And now when I hover over them, you see how you can see the letters inside of your vertical navigation bar. So as simple as that, you are able to create a navigation bar here using CSS. This is the vertical version of a navigation bar. One thing that I want you to know is that you can go ahead and you can actually adjust more things. You can give some type of style to all active links, like that when you click on them. Let's say as an example, if I go to the home page and I already have visited that, then this will remain like this in this color. And then the other ones, if I haven't clicked on them, they will remain red. You can do that if you can see here the example that we have at W3 schools. By using the active current navigation link. Here's the code. Feel free to try it yourself. For now, I am just showing you a quick and simple example in how you can create a vertical navigation bar. So other thing you can do is center, align them. You can add borders to your navigation bars. And also other thing that you can use is to stick the navigation bar just to the left side of the screen. So I will let you play around with that. But for now, this is the main thing that I wanted to show you to create a navigation bar. You can go crazy with it and you can do as many vertical, different style of navigation bars as you want. Okay, so moving on, now I am going to show you how to create a horizontal nav bar. Okay, so let's go to the horizontal section here And I already have the code here open that W3 School is providing to us, but I want you to go ahead and actually check this out. If you go to the navigation bar here, you're going to scroll a little bit down and you will go to the, let me see, to the 1, 2, 3, to the 4th example. And this is going to give you this navigation bar code example that you can see here. So what I'm going to do is clear all the style that we applied to the vertical navigation bar, okay? Just so everything looks clear and nobody gets confused. Okay, so let's hit save here, and let's hit save here as well. Going back to our code, let's hit refresh. So to create the horizontal navigation bar, first thing we are going to do is use the same unlisted element. We're going to add a couple of lists and we're going to give them a name. So let's copy this, going back to our HTML document, let's paste that there. So now that we've added that there, let's hit save. Let's go back to our welcome page and let's hit refresh. There you go. So now you have 4 items in here. As you can see, whenever you click on it, this changes. So all the style is applied by default to whenever we visit a link. Okay, so what I am going to do here is start applying the style so you can see how we can transform this into a horizontal navigation bar. So follow me through this. First thing we're going to do is apply the style to the unlisted element, to all of it. We're going to delete all the default value that we have here, all the default values, all the default styles that we have for the UL element. Okay, so let's do that. First thing, and I'm guessing you already know how to do this based on the previous example. First thing we're going to do is set this to list style type to none. Okay, again, this is removing all the circles next to them. So all markers has been removed. Next thing we are going to do is apply a margin and padding of 0. Okay, margin is going to go to 0 and padding is going to go to 0 as well. And the next thing we're going to do is apply an overflow hidden and a background color. First, I am going to apply the background color and we're going to give this a background color. Or you know what? We can create this one green, just for the sake of it. Okay, now by doing this, if you go back to the code here, let's hit refresh, you see how everything has changed and now everything, it's green, and the text, of course, it's ugly because it looks, you barely see it. Well, I'm just going to leave that. Anyways, we're going to change that later. Now, the next thing we are going to do is apply the overflow hidden. So the overflow will be hidden. Now let's hit save. Now, once this has been set, the next thing we are going to do here, and you know what? First, let me just make sure that I just want to do it same as the example, just so you guys don't get confused there. So let's hit save here, and let's go back here and let's hit refresh. Perfect, nothing has changed. So that's how I want it to be. Okay, next thing we're going to do is make all the lists float to the left. Okay, so all LIs, we're going to say to our code, all LIs, I want them to float to the left. Now, check out what this is going to do right now to our page. Hitting refresh, boom. Now you see how all is right next to each other. Everything right there is just next to each other. So that's another thing we do to transform this. But now we're going to apply certain style to all our links, okay? So let's use li, then to all A tags, we're going to be applying, first of all, display block, okay? Then the next thing we're going to do is apply a color. And the color is going to be white. Let's just leave it white. You're going to be able to see the letters in a moment. Then we're going to align all the text to the center. Okay, so text align. Let's use text align to the center. Next thing we're going to do is apply some padding to this. And by the way, let me just show you how everything looks like in right now by applying those 3 properties. Let's hit refresh. You see? Looking better. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is apply a padding of 14 and 16. So padding 14 pixels top and bottom, 16 pixel left right. Okay, and the text decoration will be none to remove the underline, okay? So text decoration will be none. There you go. Now let's hit save. Going back here, let's hit refresh. Next thing we are going to do here is set up the hover, okay? We want to set up the hover pseudo class to make sure that when we hover over it, the background color changes. So let's do that. Let's do li a, and then let's use the hover state. And what we are going to do is that when we hover over this, we want to apply a different background color. So let's do background color, and let's use some RGB. What I'm going to do is just simply select a dark green like this. There you go. Okay, and then what I am going to do is, of course, make sure that my code looks fine, like that. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we are applying a dark green to this. So let's hit save. Going back to our code, let's hit refresh. Okay, so one thing that I realized is that I didn't add the entire word padding. So I just fixed it. Now you will see the navigation bar super great. Okay, so the padding is what allows us to control the size of the navigation bar. And this is the result. So here you have your navigation bar. You can go ahead and play around with the padding to adjust the size of the navigation bar here. If I go ahead and I turn this down to 20 pixels to top and bottom, then this is going to make my navigation bar look thinner. If I go back and I put this to 40 pixels, then this is going to make my navigation bar look, a little bit with more height. So go ahead and play around with this, but this is the simple way that you can create a horizontal navigation bar. Now, if you see here, when I hover over this, after I have applied the hover pseudo class here with a different background, my navigation bar gets a different color each time that I hover over it. So again, that's how you create a horizontal navigation bar. You can simply go ahead and actually play around with this and style it a little bit different. I'm going to close this right now, and I'll show you a couple of things that you can read here and you can practice on your own. You can also use some other things, like make that when we have clicked on a certain link, you change the background and that background remains like that. You can also go ahead and actually align the links a little bit different, like in this example here. You can make them float. You see how the about link is all the way to the right? You can do that by making the about link float to the right. You can also go ahead and, create borders between your navigation bars. And you can even stick your navigation bar to top or bottom, however you prefer. I mean, here, the key is that you read a little bit more, that you practice a little bit more, and that is going to make you create the best navigation bars out there. So go ahead and check those topics out here at w3schools.com. Today, my purpose was to show you how to create an easy horizontal navigation bar. If you have questions about this, you can always leave them in the comment section below. I will make sure to read them and reply as soon as I can. Anyways, that was it for today's video, everyone. I hope you liked it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. That helps a lot to my channel. And again, if you are new in this channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button, because that way you're going to know each time that I am uploading a video. Also remember that you can always ask Lixi. Bye everyone, and see you again in the next episode.